Well, hello again. This is Flame of Truth, and I'm just blessed today that you have found us out of all the options around the universe. Signals going everywhere. You've found Flame of Truth. I'm Dan Smith, Senior Pastor at the Garden Grove Church here in Orange County in California. Just came back from our World Headquarters General Conference session, just walking the hallways. Amazing how many people say, oh, we've seen you on LLBN. So we're just proud that LLBN had a huge booth there and lots of people came by. Anyway, we're going to preach a message today called The Grasshopper Complex. But before that, we want to hear Trent DeLong, who is going to sing What a Friend We Have in Jesus. And I just hope you'll enjoy this. Thank you. What a blessing. I have always felt a little bit bad about the great celebrities of our world who end up being mocked on the nightly comedies, the late night, Jay Leno and David Letterman. Here they are, the great people of the world who have accomplished so much, and just night after night. President Clinton has been gone for many, many years as president. George Bush, now Tiger Woods or Sarah Palin, every night somebody makes fun of them. Here, Bill Clinton has been president of the world, U.S., and travels all over the world, has raised, I don't know how many billions of dollars to take care of AIDS in Africa or this problem or that problem, and has done a lot of good around the world. And yet every night there's another joke. The other night, Jay Leno, I think, said something like this. He said, looks like President Clinton is going to be going over to Israel. Haven't the Jewish people suffered enough? He's going to visit his two favorite cities, Sodom and Gomorrah. He's president. One of the smartest minds of been a president maybe in a long time, and yet he cheats his own potential because of the mistakes and moral mistakes that he has made. How many of us have cheated or are cheating our potential? Maybe you're cheating yours. Someone sent me a story about a man, he bought a mule from someone for $100. Went to pick it up, and the farmer said, sorry, the mule died. Well, unload it, give it to me anyway. What are you going to do with an old mule? Well, dead mule. I'm going to raffle them off. Nobody's going to want a dead mule. I'm not going to tell them it's dead. So a few weeks later, he ran into him and said, how'd you do on the mule? Oh, I made $998. I gave $200 tickets. I sold 500 tickets. Wasn't someone get a little mad? Only the winner. So I gave him his money back. So the winner got his $2 back, and he made $998 on a dead mule. But nobody likes to be cheated. Nobody likes to have to be ripped off. And yet most of us cheat our potential all the time. God made us to accomplish this and to have this birthright in the world, and we cheat our potential. I have two wonderful sons, but I talk to them all the time about their potential. I have one who, no matter what happens, it is really never quite his fault. If he's playing basketball, if something doesn't work out right, it was a coach's fault or the umpire's referee's fault or the other players didn't run the play right, something, always someone else. Never, I didn't practice hard enough, try hard enough. If in baseball, if the ball goes through his legs, must have hit a rock. If it's golf, if the ball goes in the woods, must have been a big wind. If you're at school, as the teacher didn't make it clear, they told us the wrong thing to study for the test, or didn't ask the questions in the right way, it's always someone else. And I finally said to him, let me try something else. Rather than how you do, what worries me is that you're cheating your potential. And if you think that you have less potential than I think you have, then that's up to you. But I said, what an irony it is that when we look at what you actually do, you see yourself as better than I do. But in terms of your potential, I see you with more potential than you see yourself. Why would you cheat your own potential? Jesus came out of the grave. They locked him in there with all the stone and the Roman guard, and all the demons of the universe were there to keep Christ inside. And yet, you know the story. God comes down, rolls away the stone. Roman guard is like they were dead. And Jesus comes walking out of there and he says, I was dead, and behold, I'm alive forever. And now I have the keys of death and hell. He's saying, what I did, I can do for you. I can give you potential. I have the power to give you an amazing life if you'll just let my life come into you. You can have the fullness of God, Colossians 2 says. How are you doing on your potential? How close are you to what you really were called to be and accomplishing all that you would like to accomplish? Your glory. God has glory for all of us. Romans 3:23, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God that God has chosen for all of us. And I asked my church, and I'll ask you about your church. How is your church doing on its glory? Or is your church cheating its potential to be a powerful, influential, where the gates of hell will not prevail against it? Well, we're going to get into the passage for today is in the story of Joshua and crossing over into the Jordan River. And here it says, God came to Joshua, Joshua 1 verse 2, now that my servant Moses is dead, you must lead my people across the Jordan River into the land I am giving them. I promise you what I promised Moses. Everywhere you go, you will be on land I have given you. And then verse 5, no one will be able to stand their ground against you as long as you live. For I will be with you as I was with Moses. I will not fail you or abandon you. Amazing. The old generation is gone. All the people who had come out of Egypt, who were older, had been wandering around the wilderness for 40 years. That whole generation is gone. And now God is saying to this generation, there, I'm taking you there. You're not going to be there anymore, and the old life is finished. Slavery is finished. I'm giving you a new land. There's your future. I will fight for you. You won't have to fight. I will give it to you. Just go across the Jordan River. Go on over. Go forward, as someone preached this week. We understand that for the people in those days, and really even today, your land is who you are. When you own land, that defines you. If you didn't have any land, then you weren't really existing much. You were just a slave on someone else's land. But if you had land, that was you. And so God, and saying to Joshua, Joshua saying to the people, that's who you are. You are not slaves anymore. That does not define who you are. Don't accept that limitation of your life. There is who you are going to be. I'm giving you a new identity, a new existence, if you'll just be willing to see yourself with that new world and that new life. I have prepared everything for you. You just have to cross on over. What did the old generation do? They sent over the 12 spies. And of course, you know the story. You've seen the pictures in the old Bible story book carrying the grapes and the land of milk and honey. But 10 are not sure. They have seen the giants in the land. Numbers 13:28. But the people living there are powerful. Cities are large and fortified. Verse 33. We even saw giants there, and we felt like grasshoppers next to them. And that's how we look to them. Caleb and Joshua said, no. Let's go up at once. We can take the land. We are well able to take the land. 2 against the 10. But they didn't get to go. The group said, no, better stay where we are. They're too big for us. Too big for us. And God says, no, go on over. You're not going to have to fight. I am giving you the land. No, we're not going to go. There's always some group that is going to bring in some negativity. Your family, your church, where you work, you know who they are. There's always a Roman guard that wants to keep Christ locked up. They don't want to release his resurrection power. They want to keep things the way they are, keep the status quo. And so they will roll the stone and they'll say, no, let's bottle up the resurrection power of Christ. There's always an older brother, like in the prodigal son story, who comes and says, why is there a party? You never made a party for me. How can you give someone who has wasted their life like that another chance? There's too much grace, too easy. You're making it too easy for them. There's always some group that's a little upset over grace. They want it to stay the way it is, where we get what you deserve. There's always an older generation around who says, we like things the way they are. This is the way we're comfortable. We've never done that before. We're not sure it's ever going to work. Let's just keep things. We can't afford it. We don't have enough time. It's not going to work. No one else has ever done it. Let's stay to what we know and what we're comfortable with. This is not an age issue. It can be anybody of any age who just sees the giants in the land and says, that's too much for us. Don't want to get too close. We want to go across the river because now we can feel bigger about ourselves. If we get too close to them, we're going to feel small compared to them. But if we stay here, then we can feel big about ourselves because we're not against the giants. So there's always the food police or the music police or the clothes police or the fun police. There's always some police around to say, no, let's not do that. You can't do that. You can't go over there. That's not right. Just keep things the way they are. Keep control. Keep tight hold on things. It's not an age issue. There's always some risk management company somewhere that says there's too much risk. Taking too big of a chance. We don't have enough money. Don't have enough time. Never done it before. Don't think that's going to work. Let's stay on this side of the Jordan River. Or there's people who will say, we like it here. It's comfortable. We know the routine. Let's just leave things the way they are. Let's stay over here on the Jordan River. But now the 40 years are gone, and that old generation, all the generation of negativity are gone. And now they're standing on the banks of the Jordan River, ready to go across. And now Joshua says to them, let's go across. You don't want to go back to slavery. That is not who you are. That is not an acceptable life. That is not your glory. Let's go across. Don't cheat your potential. Let's go across. God's giving us the land. Let's go into our promised land and claim your own promised land. Maybe you have a promised land that God is calling you to go across, to try something new. Stretch yourself. Go back to school. Try a new business. Take on that challenge. Stretch to do something that will just give you fulfillment and meaning and purpose in your life. And God says, go on across. That's who you really are. That's not who you are back there. Let's go. Can't just stand there. All right. Just to tell you one little story that means a lot to me. I just got to see the people that I've been in the middle of this with. I was in the Philippines years ago getting ready to get on the plane, actually. As I was leaving the mission office headquarters, this is in Southern Luzon Mission, south of Manila, a few hours. A lady said, Pastor Dan, you know my dream? What's your dream? Oh, I'd like to have a clinic here. Little small campus. How much? Oh, she thought about $20,000. Well, I put it on the shelf. I didn't know how to get $20,000. But I finished all my other projects, and I emailed her, and I said, you want to take a shot at that clinic? Next time I was in the Philippines, we sat in a parking lot in Manila. I never forget it. They had all the plans. Looked at the bottom line, $60,000 by the time they had all the equipment. Why so much? Well, we have to have a clinic. It has certain standards. Anyway, to make a long story short, God bless us with the $60,000. Then we had a big challenge of getting the equipment in there. And then we had a huge challenge of getting a doctor and a nurse. And then there was a challenge of getting the permits. I'm not there now. You know, they're handling it. But I was at our headquarters here the other day, and we had a meal with these people, and then I saw them again this week out here in California. They have some more things they want to do. Okay. We hope that God will make it work. But it's there. The clinic is there. The potential is there. It is mostly stocked. There's a few things they still need. And there's always someone around who says, you can't do it. But it can be done. It's there. How many times have I wanted to just bail out on a project, standing on the side of the Jordan, and there's a God or a Joshua comes along and says, let's go across. There's a promised land. God will fight for us. God is going to give it to us. Let's go across. Don't cheat your glory. There's something more to do. Joshua says to the Israelites, it's going to be 3 days. Prepare yourself in 3 days. All the way through the Bible, 3 days. Jesus is going to be, he dies 3 days, looks hopeless. In 3 days he's going to rise again with new life. Jonah looks hopeless, swallowed in the belly of a whale. And he prays. And as one preacher said, he just prayed that if God would rescue him, he would go in the same direction he came in. And 3 days later, he gets to go back out. 3 days, 10 commandments. In 3 days, prepare yourself. Then come to the mountain, and you're going to hear the voice of God speak. And the 10 commandments were given. There's always 3 days. 3 days is a sign of when God is about to do something great. God is going to do something spectacular. Don't miss this. 3 days. What is God waiting for you to step over the Jordan? He wants you to move into those 3 days to prepare and pray and be ready. And then he's going to take you across to the promised land to get to your glory. Finally, the time comes. You're standing by the river, ready to go. Israelites, the priests are out in front. And God says to those who are carrying the Ark of the Covenant, step on in. Joshua chapter 3, verse 13, when their feet touch the water will be cut off, and the water will pile up in a heap. Soon as the water piles up, then they can walk across. put your feet in the water, it'll dry up and you can cross over. You're standing there, it's in a flood, there's no jet skis, there's no bridge, there's no boat, there's no other way to cross over this river. And if you're the lead people with the Ark of the Covenant, what would you say? God, you open up the dry land, we'll walk across. It's what you did for the Israelites before, God. You opened up the dry land, then they walked across. You didn't make them step into the water first. So let's do it the same way, God. No, God doesn't want to do it that way this time. He wants to stretch their faith one more level. You step in, then I'll open up. He wants them to expand their picture of God and to learn to trust Him, that God will do even bigger things than He did last time. We don't stop. There's another level of the promised land. There's more glory for you. Let's go there. And we're always saying to God, no, God, you do it first. You give me more time. You shake a little time free for me. I'll have better devotional life. You bless me with some more money. I'll be able to pay more tithes and offerings. You give me more gifts and talents, I'll be willing to teach those kids. I'll be willing to go on a mission trip. You do this, God, and I'll do it. You make the people around me a little nicer, I'll quit getting angry at them. You make my workplace a little better, then I'll do that. But you do this, God, and then I'll do what I should do. And God says, no, you step in. Then I'll open it up. You step in first. God doesn't open up the Jordan rivers until you're willing to step in. He wants to know, do you have a big enough picture of God that you will trust Him if you'll put the step into the flooded river? It's not easy, but there's nothing more fun. Step into the river and to say, okay, God, I'm going to start this project and believe that you will finish it up. I will go back to school and I'll just trust you to get me through it so that I can go to that glory. I'll start this business. I'll take on the kids in that little division. I'll do it, God. I'll take that mission project on. Let's go. And then watch God do the miracle. There's nothing more fun than that. And so the time comes. They step over, the water opens up, and they go to the promised land. What's your Jordan River today? What is the next level for you that God is calling you to do? And you're standing on this side of the Jordan River, torn between going back to what is safe and familiar and comfortable, or going across the river to another side where God says, I'll prepare the way. I will give you the land. I will knock down the walled cities. I'll take care of the giants. What giants are keeping you from achieving your potential? What 10 spies have come around you and put negativity into your mind and said, no, we can't do that. They're too big. It's too much money. There's not enough time. It's never been done before. We like things the way they already are. What negative voices are keeping you from achieving the birthright that God has given to you? Step on across. What does it say over and over again? Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Joshua 1:6, be strong and courageous. Joshua 1:7, be strong and very courageous. Joshua 1:9, be strong and courageous. Do not be terrified. The Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Where are you afraid today? Where does God want you to let it go? John Ortberg tells about a friend of his. He was scared to death of something he knew God was calling him to do. And he said to his wife, every time I think about doing it, my palms, my hands get sweaty. A little hour later, they were still talking about it, and he said, every time I think about it, he says, my mouth gets dry. And his wife said, why don't you lick your palms? What is your Jordan River today? What is God calling you to step across into a tremendous new potential? Where are you cheating your potential? And God is calling you to do something great for Him. I just want to finish with a little update to a story that some of you have probably heard before from me, but it is a little farther this week. I was in Seleucia University in Zimbabwe, wonderful friends of mine, doing week of prayer. Students began to tell me how they were hungry, just struggling, eating 1 or 2 meals a day. I said, you have a farm, why don't you, where's the food from the farm? Oh no, turns out the farm was basically dormant, had no tractors. It was all basically just desert land again. So I couldn't let it go. God put it on my heart. We began to raise money for tractors, other equipment. A group gathered around me, and they all took a slice of it. I got a couple grants from ADRA and one other grant. $200,000 later. It's amazing. God has blessed us. We finally got that farm going. We got a couple farm managers to go there. A struggle, many, many challenges. There came a point, I'm pastoring a new church, I just couldn't keep up with it anymore. And I met with them, hammered out a budget, and then I left the last little bit of money, and I said, this is on you. You know, I just cannot run a farm. I don't know how to run a farm. I know nothing about farming. I'm 10,000 miles away. God bless you. Do the best you can. Didn't hear anything for a few months. Email was very poor. And then I got an email that they had gotten a $250,000 grant from ADRA over in England and Denmark, I think, somewhere. That's our relief and development agency from our church. I didn't know if it was true. I sent an email to the president. I said, is this true? Has it happened? No answer. I was standing in the dark in Atlanta, Georgia last week, where our church general conference session was being met. I'm just not a delegate, just going to visit and watching. I'm standing at the bus shuttle ready to go back into our hotel late one night. A man stood in front of me and said, Pastor Dan, you know who I am? Couldn't recognize right at first in the dark. They were Pakistani teachers from that university. How are you? Hugged them. And then I said, is it true about the farm? Yes, it's true. Then the next day I was at the booth, and there a picture of the video was with the irrigation ditch. And it's happening. The dream came true. There's the promised land. God has called you to a promised land. Go over your Jordan River. Watch God open it up and give you your potential. God bless you all.